Welcome to Lesson 3.2. Now that we've seen how to blend methodologies, we're going to take a step back and master the original foundation of project management, the waterfall methodology. As the image suggests, this approach is all about a steady, predictable, downward flow. It's the reliable foundation upon which many modern techniques were built, and understanding it is essential for any well-rounded project manager. Let's dive in. Long before the concepts of agile and hybrid existed, there was waterfall. This is the classic, structured, and sequential approach to managing projects, and it has been the bedrock of traditional project management for decades. It represents a linear path from start to finish. Our goal today is to master this fundamental model. We will break down its core principle, walk through its distinct phases, and critically evaluate its strengths and its weaknesses, so you know exactly when to use it. The core principle of waterfall is simple but absolute. It is a linear sequential model. Think of it like the dominoes you see on the screen. Each phase must be 100% complete and signed off before the next phase can begin. One domino has to fall before it can trigger the next. In a pure waterfall project, there is no going back to a previous phase, or if you do, it is considered a major disruption and is very costly. The entire philosophy is built on the old carpenter's adage, measure twice, cut once. You get all the requirements right up front, so there are no surprises later. The waterfall model follows a structured flow, typically broken down into 6 distinct phases that cascade one after the other. It begins with conception, which is the birth of the initial project idea. This is followed by initiation, where the idea is formally analyzed, documented, and approved in a project charter. Next is analysis, a critical phase where you gather and document every single requirement for the project. Once requirements are locked, you move to design, where you create the detailed blueprint for the product. Only then do you begin construction, the phase where the actual building or coding happens. Finally, the process concludes with testing and deployment, where the product is verified against the original requirements and launched for the customer. Given its rigidity, why would anyone choose waterfall? Because it has significant strengths in the right context. First, its clarity and simplicity. The linear model is very easy for everyone to understand and manage. Second, it mandates strong documentation. Every phase produces detailed documents, creating a clear paper trail that is excellent for knowledge transfer and alignment. Third, it offers unparalleled predictability. Because the scope, cost, and timelines are all defined and agreed upon upfront, there are very few surprises for stakeholders. This makes it excellent for stable projects, where the requirements are well understood from the very beginning and are highly unlikely to change. Now for the other side of the coin. The primary weakness of the waterfall model is that it is inflexible and resistant to change. Its greatest strength, its structure, is also its biggest limitation. Going back to make a change in a previous phase is difficult and expensive. This leads to its second weakness, slow delivery of value. The customer sees absolutely nothing until the very end of the project, which could be months or even years. This creates the third major problem, delayed feedback and testing. Because testing happens so late in the process, critical bugs or fundamental design flaws are often discovered far too late. Fixing these late-stage issues is exponentially more expensive than catching them early. So, when is waterfall the right play to call? You should choose waterfall only when the project conditions are ideal for it. It is the perfect choice when the project requirements are 100% clear, fixed, and well documented from the very start. It works best when the technology you are using is mature and your team has deep experience with it, reducing technical uncertainty. It's also well suited for projects that are relatively short and simple. The classic examples where waterfall still reigns supreme are in physical engineering disciplines. Think of construction projects, like building a house or a bridge. You need the complete blueprint before you start laying the foundation. The same is true for most manufacturing projects. To truly understand waterfall, it helps to contrast it with its philosophical opposite, Agile. This is a tale of two completely different approaches. Waterfall is linear and sequential, moving in a straight line. Agile is iterative and cyclical, working in repeating loops. In Waterfall, all planning is done up front. In Agile, planning is ongoing throughout the project. Waterfall, by its nature, resists change. Agile is designed to welcome change, even late in the project. Therefore, Waterfall is best for highly predictable projects, while Agile excels in unpredictable environments. This comparison sets the stage perfectly for our next lesson. Let's summarize the most critical points for your Waterfall playbook. First, remember that Waterfall is a linear, sequential process. It moves in one direction. Second, the core rule is that each phase must be complete before the next one can begin. Third, its greatest strength is its predictability and structure, which stakeholders often appreciate. However, its greatest weakness is its inflexibility and resistance to change. The final takeaway is the most important. Use it only when project requirements are fixed, clear, and stable from the very beginning. Fantastic! You have now mastered the principles of the Waterfall methodology, the foundation of structure and predictability in project management. You understand its strengths, its weaknesses, and exactly when to deploy it. Now that we have this solid foundation in place, it's time to explore its dynamic opposite. It's time to look at the engine of innovation and flexibility. In our next lesson, we will dive deep into the world of Agile, with a special focus on its most popular framework, Scrum. Get ready to shift from linear plans to iterative cycles. I'll see you in Lesson 3.3.